So uncivilized.
Greetings and welcome to the 1/6 Scale Man proudly presents another episode. This is episode 42 of Uncivilized Scoundrels. My other co-host couldn't be here tonight. He's somewhere out in the galaxy far, far away, somewhere. But he will be back next week for his show, so definitely can't wait for that. But hey, I can't be here without the crew, and we got a lot to talk about, some things we're going to digest today. You know, just have a little bit of fun, but just kind of look towards the future and just want to kind of know how everybody actually feels about it. And, you know, we haven't really talked about it since May the 4th. Haven't really talked about it since Celebration, but I just feel as though we need to kind of talk about a few things just to kind of, you know, see where we're at in this headspace. And, you know, if we're optimistic about, you know, this galaxy and this thing that we love so much. But yes, let me just bring everybody in. What's going on, man? How's everybody doing tonight?
What's good? What's good?
What's good, man? So glad to actually have everybody here. CC3PO, how are you doing today? How's your evening?
I'm good. I think I did. It's funny. You asked me about art prints and if I got any new ones, and I'm like, I think I did good for May the 4th, and I didn't buy that many. But now I'm second guessing myself.
You did.
I mean,
when you don't remember it, it's because you did.
It's because
is it just expensive paper though? I mean,
hey, I mean, sometimes those prints can be just as expensive as a hot toy, bro, depending on which one you get. You know what I mean? So it can definitely get up there, man. It does. Like, it has a way of getting up there. But anyway,
I do like the look of the Return of the Jedi Vader though.
Yes, it's swaying you, isn't it?
Well, I really like what they did with like the electrocution light up thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm gonna get the hot toy, but what I want to see is that in art form now.
Like the art print version,
yeah. Like I don't, basically that, because I realized I tend to like dark depictions of Vader, and I was thinking of like a Return of the Jedi artwork, like what we'd like to see with the anniversary, and I'm like, you know what, an electrocuted Vader would be cool.
Well, I mean, I think you'll get it. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just trying to push. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to push. You know, never know what happens, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Vinny, you received your first hot toy figure this week, man. You got Luke Skywalker from The Mandalorian, bro. You know, you haven't opened it yet, but bro, it's on. Yo, look, that clamshell is gonna be like a brand new pair of sneakers, bro. When you open it, you gotta smell that figure, bro. It's just like a brand new day. It's like Christmas. So I know you're gonna be excited when you open it, bro.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It was my first hot toy, and I'm new to the process, and it was Leal is, I'm sure, tired of me hounding him about how worried I should be seeing other people post theirs online, and me being just like, yo, where's mine? So that was something to get used to. So it's really weird seeing their distribution process and how it works, because you know, you see other people with, you know, their shiny new toys, and you just, you know, you want yours too. Hey, like, where's my shit? You know? So this week has been just absolutely insane and crazy for me this week. So I haven't even opened it yet because I just want to appreciate it. Like, I literally am just getting done work just a few minutes ago. So, and last night and the night before was like that too. So I just am waiting to the weekend, even though I'm working this weekend too, but I'm waiting for a Saturday night or something where I have a little bit where I can, you know, open it up and appreciate it instead of just like rushing through. I just want to cherish it. Of course, I you know, excited to get my first hot toy. It had to be Luke. You know, Luke is my guy. So I'm excited for that, and so it begins.
So it begins, bro. Your journey down that dark side begins, bro. I hope you are ready for it because it is about to go down. Ah, you just what? You better tell them. Anyway, speaking of which, so glad to actually have you here tonight. How are you?
I'm doing great. Any night I'm here talking Star Wars with you guys is always a wonderful night.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. It's going to be such an amazing evening, an amazing night. We got a lot of things that we're going to actually talk about and mention. And yeah, I'm definitely happy to have this discussion tonight. But before we actually dive in, um, I do want to actually go in and address the chat real quick to see who we actually got here with us tonight. We got 46 people popping in so far. So glad to see you guys. We got Mikey Lito is in the building. Thank you for being here, bro. Thank you as always for stopping through. OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars popping through. My man with the $5 super chat. He said, Jill, all hell, queen of streams in my dreams. Wonderful all-star panel. Let's go. Oh, definitely, man. So glad to have you here with us tonight. Who else we got? Jeff Eubanks is in the building. SBB in the building. Beskar Kid, savor it. Word. He said, now, Beskar Kid, bro. Vinny, if you already don't know, Beskar Kid's going to start tagging you and shit now. Now that he knows that you have a Hot Toys figure, Beskar Kid, tell him what you're going to do. He's going to tag you every time you get it. Huh?
I'm in the get enabled loop.
Oh yes, you're in it, and he's the one to do it. So he's gonna. So definitely, if you see, or if you basically see that you've been tagged by Beskar Kid, that means when you open it, there's a video. There's a video. I'm just letting you know that right now, and he knows that. So definitely be aware, be prepared. We got Peyton 23 in the building. Mauler 2745 is here as well. We got to now enable CC. We got Mike. Let me see who else we got here. Louis Labitz, Jeff Eubanks. My guy, Austin Nichols, is in the building. Thank you for being here, Austin. He scared me today because he put out this clickbait thumbnail. It was like he sold off his collection, but yeah, he didn't, punk. Anyway, we got who else in the building? Philip the Fool. Who else we got? Amber is in the building. Thank you for being here. Blitz 0065 is in the building. Thank you for being here. Bob Dillon, good job, Bob. He says 50% ladies tonight. That's what I'm talking about. Who else do we got in here? Mary Sullivan. We got Ren's Talentino. That's Ren's Talentino. That's his name. Talentino. That's what I call him. We got, let me see who else is in here. Eric Hankey is in the building. Thank you for being here. We got Brick Artemis is in the building. Thank you for being here as well. Blue Saucy is in the building. Who else do we got here? And my man Malachi Mabane, Malika Mabane. I keep calling him Malachi, but it's Malika Mabane. Thank you for being here as always. He said I got called out. Yes, you did get called out. Beskar Kid says, Vinny, get ready. It's gonna start. It's definitely gonna start soon, man. As always. So definitely so excited to see that. We got Jedi Nice Watch in the building. So yes, so glad to have everybody in here as always. Man, it's a lot going on. Start off with Jedi Survivor, man. That game, bro. That game. Like literally, here's the thing. This is crazy, and I'm gonna say something, and this is nutty. When you have a game that not only the gameplay is dope, but just cinematically the storyline is one of the best pieces of storyline that's even better than with some of these fucking shows that we've seen. Like literally, and I'm not taking it away from it, bro, but the storyline is incredible, bro. Like I'm like deep in, like to the point where I'm like, come on, man. Like it don't have to be this damn good. Like it really doesn't. But I'm definitely love it. And yo, the Dark Jedi, the new, he gets busy. with one arm. Anyway, but like I'm just saying, look, everybody out there, if you haven't played that game, Vinny, do you have it yet, bro?
I haven't even played the first one.
Oh, you didn't play the first one, Vinny. Come on, man.
No.
You didn't play Jedi.
Nope. And for
Father
not
Order?
for any reason, just time. So
Just time.
the next game I dive into, which I probably won't be able to dive into any games until I get past the gauntlet here. But
Mhm.
things lighten up a little bit in August, and I'm gonna dive into both of them.
Yeah, you got to, bro, because
Yeah.
it's an amazing game. I know you've been playing it now live, and I know you've been enjoying it so far.
It's been so wonderful to play this game, and I actually want to prolong every single moment for as long as I can. So, you get to the next part and you're like, do I really want to progress right now, or should I just enjoy this moment? And there's a lot of me, falling down like trenches and stuff. But aside from that sort of stuff, I'm just like, oh, this looks so nice. Oh, I love this. It's
Yeah,
just so enjoyable to have that immersive experience in a game. It feels so good. I don't want this to ever end. So, yeah, it's a fantastic game. And I've been loving every minute of it. I do live stream every single day. I did live stream earlier today, Jedi Survivor, and it's really a wonderful game. Everything I could have hoped for and more.
yeah, it is. It's an amazing game. But it is, Vinny, it is time consuming. The only thing that I hate is because I have to play it in between, and I'm always stopping because I have to work and do other things.
It's really
But
frustrating for me to play in increments when I can't dive
mhm.
in. So if I don't have like an open period of time where I can play, it doesn't lose my interest, but it's very frustrating to play in like, oh, I get home by the time I'm all done, I have like maybe an hour or two at night, like, and then to try to squeeze in that because I know I won't want to stop, and then I'll be up all night, and my job is really tough to do on no sleep. So, uh, I just being disciplined because and being patient till I can dive in and play it. I'm just holding off, but it looks amazing. I've seen virtually nothing bad said about it. Everyone's just going on about how amazing it is story wise, and to me
Mhm.
that's what I can't wait to and appreciate and enjoy with everybody else because these days virtually all games look great, but it's the about the experience and the story that this game is providing for everybody and how and it being canon too is a bonus. So I'm very much looking forward to diving into these Fallen Order and Survivor and yeah, I can't wait. I don't want to. It's something else that I just don't want to dive into until I can really like appreciate it and go in.
Well, for those of
Yeah.
us who are very familiar with Jedi Fallen Order, you're going to find when you start to play Jedi Survivor that a lot of the characters have grown. Like it feels very
Yeah.
natural. There's a part where you see Seer, which is not it's not a spoiler, but of
Yeah.
course we're all expecting to see Seer, and when you see her, she looks so different.
Amazing.
So
Definitely. She is definitely different. And you see that even her personality, she's more in touch with the force around this time than she was in the first game. It just so many. And I know you're happy, and I don't want to spoil this for too much.
No,
So I don't
don't
want to go
kill
into
me.
it.
Don't go ahead and
But
say I'll cover my ears.
well, yeah, I don't. But once you'll basically see because
Yes.
there's what I like about it is just the relation to family camaraderie with it, and how much these characters really love each other and like they really. But yeah, it's some things that you're gonna be like, what the? But yeah, it's crazy. So definitely I love the game. Cece, you haven't played it. You don't have this game yet, do you?
No, I'm not. I know it sucks, but I'm not a gamer.
No, it doesn't suck. It's just, I mean, I had to put you in
Well,
detention for a little bit, but it doesn't suck.
so like what I did with the expanded universe was I just read the novelizations. So like
Mhm.
I read Revan,
Yeah.
try to keep up with it.
Yeah.
I've seen memes and stuff, so I feel like I know some of the characters a little bit because I've seen jokes surrounding the game. But
Yes,
I'll
yes,
get
yes.
there eventually, I think.
Definitely. We got my man Miguel from Toy Quest 101 is in the building, my bro. Thank you for being here tonight, man. Stopping through as always. Yeah, it's it's the thing is the story is so incredible and I love the game that much. If everybody out there, if you don't have it, please get this game, play it. Especially if you are well connected to Star Wars. I keep saying this, and I'm going to continue to say it. Like, they have to give us a live action Cal Kestis.
Yes.
They really, really do.
Yes.
Because his commitment and his faith, and basically like just seeing his journey and where he's going with the Force, and how it's man, I can't say too much more, but just get the game, play it, and then to be quite honest, like, if you haven't played the first game, you can still play this game. You know what I mean? Because it touches on certain things. But if you want to play it in, increments and stuff like that, you can do that. But it does
Video
touch.
games typically are more forgiving of playing a sequel without the original. But I still want to play both. Like the first one, I had wanted to play when it came out too. It just came out at the wrong time. So I'm definitely planning on playing both. But I like the fact that it has its own lane and it's doing so well there. I know a lot of people want to see a live action of it, but I don't want, from what I am understanding about the game, hopefully it doesn't affect the games, because it's been, for Star Wars fans, we all know, like, it's not a guaranteed thing to get good Star Wars franchises on consoles. So I like that they got that going, especially with the way things are now. You never know what's what with, live action Star Wars. So at least they got the video games. So
we kind of got lucky. I mean, you guys remember when Fallen Order came out? I think it was 2019, right? The fall of 2019 or something like that. And I could be wrong on that date, but around that time, and I had no idea how expansive that game was. And I had, many of us, not everybody, but I do like to see and learn more about the Force and the experience of being with the Force. And one of the things they did was that they had a night sister. Her name is Marin. She's in the second game, but she was in the first game. And I thought that was really important because, it's like we do see a lot of Force users, but, these night sisters are very different. Their approach to the Force is very different. And this might be the first time outside of Asajj, outside of Oppress, outside of even Maul, that we see people from that planet where their interpretation of the Force, it's so different. They haven't even begun to scratch the surface as to how they interpret what the Force is. I mean, I don't even know, to be honest with you, I don't really know whether they're using dark or light side of the Force. I can't say for certain. I'm not saying that we haven't been told it's dark, the dark side, but to be honest with you, I just think it's another way of interpreting the Force that we haven't even come across. And it's just so different. It's very refreshing, but it's like it's in their blood. It's everything inherent in Darth Mirians. So it's kind of refreshing to see creatures like this where they are so ingrained. It's in every cell in their body. It's almost like they can't exist without the Force. And it's really amazing to see these different uses of the Force, or this interpretation of the Force. It's really very satisfying to see something like that, and see the game kind of also have a maturity about it. Fallen Order did feel, like your introduction to Cal, and Cal was young, like he was young. But Cal's a man now. He's a man, and things are very different. And
so where are you? Okay, because I can't. Never mind. Just play the game.
I just left Jedha after speaking to Seer, where she's whatever she's doing there. So that's where I am at the game. I am not a fast game player. I take my time. I say, I'm an easy gamer, like Phil Collins, like an easy lover. I'm an easy gamer. I'm just really easy. I might fall down a trench 20 times, but I don't care. I'll just keep trying to get past the obstacle. And it's about having fun and interacting with people while I'm playing the game. I like to speak to everybody and them tell me, well, what did you try that? I'm like, no, I didn't try that. Okay. But this really, there's so much to see in the game. And there's so much to experience in the game. And just even, just like all of a sudden now you have to think like a Jedi. It's like, oh yeah, I can climb on walls, or I can do these other things that, normally we can't do. But Cal is very different. He's a man now. And I really like that about him. I think that this actor is so talented. They have to use him in something going forward. He really has earned it, because it must have been, I don't know, a bazillion hours for him to make this game. Like, this is this must have been such an endeavor for him, a few years even in that suit and having to do all these
Yeah.
machinations. It really shows that he is up to the challenge and he enjoys being involved in this.
Yeah.
It is an accomplishment, a huge accomplishment for Star Wars, honestly.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's such a beautiful game, and the actress who plays Seer, I heard her basically talk. She was speaking about just her journey, with the actor and how professional he was, and how it was just like a family environment. It was beautiful because she was talking. Well, I can't. You know what? As a matter of fact, you just go watch it. I can't talk about it because it will spoil
2
something
hours
for you.
later, we're still
So,
talking about the game.
yeah, you'll talk about it. But definitely, if everybody out there, if you haven't gotten this game,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're waiting on, but just go out and get it and play it. It's so amazing. Take your time, like she said, because it's like I said, the reason why I love it is it's just like, just in Harry Potter as well. You can explore the worlds that you're in. You know what I mean? Just look around, look and see things, and it looks completely amazing. And definitely CC is crazy because it's a game that I know you would definitely love. It because of the character that I know you love the most, you would love this game. If you
Well,
love,
and
yeah,
you guys mentioned like, would we ever get him live action? They've done a lot with that actor. He's been to Batu, I think both sides, or
Celebration.
maybe just West. Yeah, he was at Celebration. They just for May the 4th came out with his lightsaber as a legacy lightsaber. So I think that gives me hope
They
that we'd
have
see
to
him. And
because
also,
he's such a brilliant character.
right, it's almost like Sam Witwer.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I think he got his start with Star Wars as in The Force Unleashed, and then of course he ended up voicing Maul, and I think he
yeah,
was Palpatine as well, and maybe Obi-Wan at one point, older Obi-Wan in Rebels. So
yeah,
I think that also what bodes well is that both Sam Witwer and I forget the actor who plays Cal Kestis, but they are live action actors. It's
yeah,
not like they were just like they're used as inspiration. Like they're working actors, so it wouldn't be like a learning curve to throw them in a movie or
yeah, and they need to. They need to. With him, it's definitely a must. It's definitely a must to get these characters in live action because it's definitely amazing. And consider the simple, CZ, you just got to play the game because you would be impressed. Or as a matter of fact, CZ, what you can do, you can watch the gameplay, or you can even watch the cinematic version. You can watch it on YouTube if you want to do that.
That's what my sister did with Harry Potter because she's the biggest Harry Potter fan, but not she didn't even have consoles, and she just watched all the cutscenes.
Watch
on
the
YouTube.
you got it. You
that's
can do
what I
that.
would probably be doing.
Because if you'll be surprised, you'll be pleasantly surprised when you play it. Like or when you watch it, it's definitely amazing. So, you got to do that. But if everybody out there, if you have it, make sure that you actually grab this game if you get a chance to, and just play it. Before we jump into everything else, though, I want to actually jump into this as well. I don't know if anybody's watched it. During May the 4th, they released the season 2 of Star Wars Visions, and man, like literally, like this hit differently. It really definitely did hit different, but it hit in a way that it was more, it was story driven, but it had a theme. You can tell that throughout all of them they had a certain theme, and it was incredible. Like I loved it. I loved the first two. I love pretty much. If the thing is, it's like when you watch one, you're like, oh, I'm not going to watch this one because it may not, and the animation might not stick, but the storyline is just like, yo, like it's so dope. Benny, have you watched it?
Man, I'm behind. I only watched the first 2 of them. I watched the first 2 though. The first one was incredible, especially the way it ended. I almost feel like they wasted a really great idea with the way that they ended the first episode. Because as soon as they did it, I was like, wait, that could be a whole. The second one is to your point about the animation style wasn't, but I just stuck with it, and I like how that one played out too.
Yeah,
it was like more of a all right. The story was cool, animation it wasn't really for me, but I still dug it, and I like the way they finished it up, and they're great. I mean, even the Visions episodes in the first season that I didn't care for, I still love the the attempt. I love what they were doing. I love the the attention to detail, the the drive to tell these short stories and set in the Star Wars place that
Mhm.
we might not get otherwise. And it's just a one of the great things is them saying, okay, we may not know what we're doing with these big picture ideas, but we have these great short story ideas that we're gonna just pepper in, and a lot of them have a ton of potential for huger impact things, and especially like that first episode. And so
Mhm.
I can't wait to
Mhm.
finish the rest of them.
Bro, there's some beautiful, like literally, like
Yeah.
watching it and watching like certain episodes and watching certain characters. I'm like, yo, I want these characters in live action. Like, I want
It
some of them in
feels
live action
different
because it's
too.
just so beautiful. Yeah, it does. It
Vision
does.
season 2 feels much different than one in that it feels a lot more uh Love, Death and Robots ish.
Mhm.
The Netflix
Yeah,
show.
it does. It
It
does.
feels a lot more like that special.
Animation style, it does. Like in certain episodes, you can
Yeah.
definitely feel that. I think it was especially the second to the last episode. It definitely feels that way, but it was so dope. And I like how culturally they're allowing different cultures to really express themselves through this universe. It's definitely amazing. Cece, have you seen any of the episodes yet?
I haven't. No, but
Oh.
I've only heard great things. I know, I'll be honest, with the first season, I felt like they started way strong. And then
Mhm.
somewhere towards the middle it was like, and then it kind of got better. Like, so I mean, I'm assuming it's the same kind of anthology
Hmm.
Yeah,
treatment. Every
yeah.
episode, different story. Okay. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I love that they're continuing to do it and that they're shorter episodes. I just haven't had time to watch them, but um, and the art, because it's animated, I think just the art style is always really impressive every time I watch it.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's what they've done, like, and they're somewhat following the same format as um the first, for real. Like, they're following that, they keep following those particular formats, so it's not too much different. Then when you get like just the action, you get like the first two episodes are just kind of engaging. The middle two episodes are probably like, but you still watch them because it has a lot of meat in the story. The animation might not be connective as much, but it's the meat in the story. Like I said, like the second episode, Screecher's Reach, I loved the Sith. And it's like once you start watching them, you can't, In the Stars was decent too. So I definitely love that. Like, that episode was just like deep, like touching, so touching. I Am Your Mom had certain elements. You're like, what, you don't want to watch it, but then when you watch it, it's like, yo, this makes perfectly good sense. It just, it's beautiful. Journey to the Dark Head was like probably my favorite. It probably was literally my favorite. But then the final episode is the one that, because Spy Dancer was cool, but the Bandits of Golak was decent. Like, I loved it, but the pit probably hit home more so for me. I don't know. It's easy. I mean, you saw that one too, but the pit was probably the one that was like, yo, like, it was gut wrenching because it deals with a lot of social issues that we even deal with now. But it was so beautifully done. But what were your thoughts in general?
Well, I always felt like Visions was, if you had to take sort of like indie comics or indie animation and meld it with Star Wars, this is what Visions is to me. And I think it's fantastic because we get to see things that we don't normally see. And, a lot of this stuff feels inspired by, some of the most popular indie animation like Aeon
Mhm.
Flux or which I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of. And that's kind of it's a mature, animation meant for adults. One of the first animated series meant for adults only. Now
Mhm.
the idea of adults only animation is kind of the norm, but at that time it was very groundbreaking. And to kind of have Star Wars go into more of that indie style, I think is a benefit. Because we get to see all these different cultures and experiences. And this season was no exception. there was a lot of cultural experiences in this, and it seems to make
Yeah.
sense because there's this, so many worlds out there. Really just seeing these different points of view, things told from the point of view of an adult, from a child. It was a nice experience, kind of getting an idea. Like this one that you're showing is the Bandits of Golak,
Yeah.
and I loved it because it did feel like
Oh,
it was Indian style, and he was like a Jedi in Golak, like
yeah.
so
Yeah.
because you could see this. It was kind of like Slumdog Millionaire style if they were going to show it. But boy, the animation of the Jedi in this, they were
Mhm.
they were badass. The guys who did
Yeah.
the Mastra show, these are not just famous Jedi, but they're also culturally significant in this
Mhm.
world. And you could see that they are like gods, almost godlike
Yeah.
in their power. And that was very satisfying. Although it was a little frightening to see how she went with the Jedi. You know what I mean? Like it's always the separation
Yeah.
anxiety. But I thought, yeah, how else could you explain someone leaving their family and going off to do this life? It's not an ordinary life, and therefore its beginning is not going to be something that's easily understandable. So, when she kind of disappears, it's not that she's kind of like disappearing in a cavern. It's not that at all. It's a completely different dimension. It might as well be a completely different universe, a whole nother experience of what it is to be, a being at that point. So there was
Yeah.
a lot of very interesting things like that. The woman who was looking for, she didn't know she was going to find her son. She thought that was the guy who took her son. I mean, a very
Yeah.
interesting twist on a lot of these things. So I really enjoyed that. I think that having some things that were more conceptualized, like the first picture that you showed, where
Mhm.
you're not supposed to understand every single thing that's going on because you can't. Like I'm not a force user, but for a force user, there's some significant types of movement and types of interpretation. And
Yeah.
she's like, I can, maybe those orbs mean sort of like maybe the dark side, who knows, but she's feeling something's happening, and that interpretation is up to you. It's like you can go ahead and say, well, she's clearly there and someone's coming to get her, and this really does feel very dangerous. I thought it was
Yeah.
very interesting. We do see this where some force users don't want to be involved in certain things, and
Yeah.
unfortunately the will of the force sometimes, maybe not always, but sometimes pulls them back into that type of world. They can't necessarily turn their back to it, or it ends in disaster. So this was really beautifully drawn, and
I
um,
love this episode so much
yeah,
because it was the thing is like looking at it from because first of all we've never seen a force user from an artistic interpretation and them using the force to influence art. You know what I mean? Like that's what I loved about this episode because it was all, it's you can everybody's going to interpret it a certain way, but I just love the style. Like I love the way they basically, introduced this episode. It was crazy. It was definitely crazy, but
and
something that I can think I would something I would definitely want to see even in live action. Like when I think about this, it's like it's definitely like an interpretation. But Screecher's Reach, what I loved about that is we actually got a chance to see things from the interpretation of a Sith Lord. You know what I mean? Like at that point, you didn't know that's where it was going. You know what I mean? Into the very end, and it's like, yo, what the hell? But it was dope. It was so dope
also,
because it was believable. So it's sort of like allowing the character to face her fear, and she faced the fear, but choosing a path that you didn't really expect her to choose. It was phenomenal. I
in
loved it.
this picture in particular, for this particular episode, is not as much speaking, and so a lot of it is relying on the artwork and telling the story through the art,
Yeah.
and that was really beautiful. Journey to Darkhead, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, I wasn't expecting it to turn out like that, but let's just say it's like, of course we know that there are going to be arrogant force users.
Yeah.
And this was very funny to kind of see that attitude. It's like, of course you're going to be arrogant. Look at what you can do.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of them hide the arrogance. And, but for the most part, we've heard people say that they became arrogant and all this sort of stuff. And then you kind of see that. And it's like, oh, this is probably most likely what it would be like to speak to a young Jedi who is incredibly talented, is arrogant, knows that you need them, and kind of looks at you like as if you're very foolish because they can survive things that you can't. And so they're like, well, why aren't you staying home in a safe place when you know that you would never survive if I wasn't here? And you're kind of like, what? I think that they approach that very interestingly, because that probably is the most likely scenario. A lot of times, we've seen a lot of Jedi who were kind and kind of, on the same level as other people. But I think many of them are just, they've been studying and kind of like in a different realm. So you take them out of that seclusion, you take them out of that journey, and they can't relate. This is why maybe Cal Kestis is so personable, because he's taken out of that at an earlier age, and now he has to kind of survive and kind of be around other people and understand what it means to be around other living things. But this is
they're taking out of the teachings of the Jedi, whereas now they're experiencing life and forced to experience life from their own, their own vantage point, because you don't have, a Jedi master to basically guide your steps. You have to but you're Force sensitive. You know that the ways of the Force, you've been taught, but now taking that into like a world that's completely different from your own at that point, it's just like, it's incredible.
I mean, and the last thing I'm going to say is that, like, maybe this particular character is similar to the Night Sisters. I don't know, but it could be that different type of interpretation of the Force for her is very different from what might be in a lot of, in the Jedi library. It might be very different for the Force existence where she is. And so I think that shows a lot of sensitivity. They don't necessarily have to spell it out in words and say, well, for her, this is the Force is X, Y, and Z. No, you don't have to do that. We can just kind of realize she has an interpretation of the Force that's her reality. And, maybe one of these days we'll find out exactly what that is. But for now, this is good enough for us to understand it.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I mean, I love the episodes, CC, once you watch it, like you get a chance to really connect to it. It's such an amazing, I like Visions. I think if I had to choose between Visions and Jedi, or Tales of the Jedi, it's tough because I love Tales of the Jedi. I really, really love Tales. And I'm hoping that I guess they said they're going to do a season 2. We just don't know yet. But I'm definitely excited about that.
I read the kind of like plot summaries of the episodes while you guys were talking about them, and oh my gosh, the pit gave me chills.
Yeah, it is. It's
what that's about. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it also gave me like Batman vibes.
It will. It definitely. When you watch it, you're going to definitely think that you're that Ra's. You're going to think about Ra's al Ghul, and you're going to definitely, you will definitely think about it. Like it's.
And Eric said,
League of Shadows.
We need Star Wars Vision hot toys.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool. I think they would nail them. But also I really liked the Kotobukiya one they did.
Mm-hmm.
Ronin. That one looks really impressive.
Hell yeah. So definitely everybody out there, if you haven't seen Visions, definitely watch it, because it's just. Yeah, what are you gonna say?
Cece, the one you mentioned, the Ronin one, that's what I thought, and I could be interpreting this very wrong, but that's what I thought Ahsoka was going to be like that Ronin one that we saw. Mm-hmm. And I'm not quite sure why I thought that. I thought they had said she was going to be kind of like samurai, a little more in that interpretation of stuff. And, she's had to interpret a lot on her own, like after 20 years of, kind of being apart from everything that she knew before. Now she's kind of redefined her use of the Force. So I got very excited about it. I said, it's probably like that Visions episode, like the one you mentioned.
Yeah.
The trailer certainly seems like, I know Vinny stays away from them, so I won't say much, but like the trailer certainly seems action-packed, but I do think that our introduction to Ahsoka and Mando did feel very samurai to me.
Yeah, it did.
That desolate planet, fight between her and the magistrate, that kind of like Mexican standoff. It was kind of like all those elements they took from like the samurai films that they took, the Western films stole, and now they're back in The Mandalorian because of the Western vibes of the show.
Definitely. Like, I mean, and well, Vinny, of course, he didn't see the trailer, but he'll get the Ahsoka figure too, because he has to get that with Luke. You have to get that one with Luke, bro. You do, because it looks good.
There's a lot of I have tos with Luke. He branches a
Yeah,
lot of ways. So
yeah, you do. You have to get. You definitely get that. This next topic though is going to be right up CC's alley because this was an announcement that that Dave Filoni confirmed. But we kind of knew, but he confirmed it when asked. And that is, Grand Admiral Thrawn will actually be the villain, the main villain in the Filoni verse film that he's going to actually do. So that was confirmed when it asked. He said he said, yeah, that there's no question that he's going to be the villain. He said because it's with this character is a character we hadn't seen before, in the universe, like reading the tales, the story itself, dark, the heir of the empire, knowing that he's not your typical, force wielder, lightsaber, whatever, that he's sheerly a tactician, very smart, very intelligent, but at the same time, and if anybody who's actually read, heir to the empire, he it can be basically up for a debate whether or not he was actually a villain in some cases, because we know there was villainous intent, but a lot of things that he thought was for the better of the empire itself, but also for the better of just civilization, the galaxy, and
Right.
that's what he believed. You know what I mean? And there was but he had a lot of honor, a lot of empathy, you know what I mean, in certain aspects, but like he was just again serving the empire at that point, but extremely smart. I love how they touch on the simple fact that through art is his way of knowing his opponent. You know what I mean? Like in just very, very steady and like a tactician. It's and knowing that what Lars Mikkelsen is actually playing this character is perfect. It is perfect.
Well,
But what do you think about this, CZ?
so obviously I'm very excited, but worry is my middle name. So there's some things I'm of course worried about, but I will say that I agree with you completely about like whether or not he's a villain. And I feel like I sound like a broken record. Maybe I've said this before, but I think when talking to people like friends, family, coworkers who aren't familiar with the character because they didn't watch Rebels or they haven't read the books about him, I explain like his motivation from the beginning and like all these things that you wouldn't really know about unless you read the books. And the kind of like I see a light bulb go off a little bit with people where it's almost reminds me of when Black Panther came out and you're listening to Killmonger and all those memes came out of like low key when the villain's saying like his rant, his manifesto, and you're like, a lot of this makes sense. Like I might be rooting for the bad guy, and I think that to me that's Thrawn, where like obviously it's he's the bad guy because he's going after all of our heroes, but when you think about it, is he really he's not Palpatine, he's not Maul, like, and Maul was a very complicated character which you'd only really know if you watched, like I said, Clone Wars or Rebels, and without spoiling like the most recent novelization trilogy that they did, not novelization, it was because that would imply it was based on something else, but Timothy Zahn did a more recent trilogy, the Ascendancy trilogy, and that has like far-reaching implications as to like his motivations for being in the Empire in the first place, and who he's really working for, if that makes sense. So all of those were signed off on by Disney, whereas Heir to the Empire was not. But the fact that, and again, sorry, Vinny, but like they played the Ahsoka trailer and mentioned that Thrawn was the heir to the Empire, I was like, ah! Like that was just like the fan servicey thing that I was like, yes! I was so happy and excited. And I think that's what a lot of these Disney series are missing, is that connecting dot. Like with Marvel, we had WandaVision, which I think was actually supposed to come out second. Loki was supposed to come out first, but like at least you saw the implications of WandaVision and the Loki series coming to the future with the whole of the MCU in phase 5. So I hope that Thrawn is kind of like the thing that connects all of the series, that connects Boba Fett with Mando a little bit more, because again, it's been weird. We haven't seen Boba since the series, and connects both of them to Ahsoka and to the new heroes that are going to be new to a lot of people who are not familiar with Rebels.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, but I get what you're saying. Like, for those who and the tricky part for Dave Filoni is when you're thinking about Heir to the Empire, and even though that Timothy Zahn is actually helping him with this interpretation, but knowing that you can't almost be, because the tricky part is you're bringing some of the elements into Ahsoka, knowing that in the book, Ahsoka had nothing to do with it at all. You know what I mean? So you're bringing elements of that into it. So it's going to be interesting to see how, and I'm guessing it's like what I see that they're doing with Ahsoka is the same thing they did with her in Rebels when it came to Revenge of the Sith. You know what I mean? Whereas they're telling these side stories where she was involved with actual events that had to do with Thrawn, but just sprinkling elements in, from Heir to the Empire, because it'd be hard to, that's the hardest task, is to try to meld these things together to whereas it's believable, but you're not taking away from the novel or taking away from the story itself, and you're not changing things from the story. You know what I mean?
They definitely can't. The rumor is that they're kind of trying to replicate the storyline of Heir to the Empire without doing it explicitly, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they don't really care about keeping up with that continuity at all, because we had a load of characters that we've seen, obviously, that were created that were not in that trilogy. But and Tovar mentions this as far as like, are they going to get into Thrawn's relationship with Anakin and that kind of stuff? That would be interesting if they did flashbacks or anything. But I think he was the perfect choice for this overarching villain, because they already gave him an excuse as to why he wasn't involved before, and that was the whole space whales crap. And then if you read the comics or the books, you'd know why he wasn't there in the beginning. He was still like rising through the ranks of the Empire. We just didn't see him until Rebels, and I think that's totally believable too.
Yeah, that's the beautiful part about it. Vinny, you read Heir to the Empire, right?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things that they're doing here is because when Disney first got Star Wars, they basically said all that stuff doesn't exist. Yet now, when it's convenient for them, they're cherry picking from it, which is like if they started making Marvel movies and said none of the comics exist, and then just picking whatever stories they want from the comics, and then but you're not supposed to say, oh, they're picking from Infinity War, so this is what's going to happen. They want to have that kind of like shield from, protect themselves from saying, oh, it's not, don't just think you can read an Heir to Empire and think it'll be that, because we're just taking parts that we like from it, parts that work for us. And then part of that is them, but also a lot of that is, it almost feels like Filoni knows that a lot of the suits at Disney never read any of those books, and they can just use those stories, and they won't know that they're from the expanded universe. They won't know they're from Legends, because they know they didn't read those stories. So they could just make it, like it's new shit. And it probably is a lot of stuff that was already in those books before.
Those books were signed off on by George. It's not like those were published with no suits involved. So I don't think it's like they're so ignorant that they haven't read the books. They would have gotten.
Well, I'm talking about the Disney people, not the Lucasfilm people. When at that point there was a connection there between Lucasfilm and all the writers. Like George would have them there at Skywalker Ranch, and they all worked together. But when Disney bought it, they didn't care about any of the books. They wanted to put their own stamp.
Suits can read, is what I'm getting at.
Do you really think that the suits that are making these movies have read all the novels?
I think someone has to, because what if they found out that Thrawn was racist in Heir to the Empire?
They probably did a Wikipedia search with Thrawn and that's about it. But, I mean, okay, it's possible, but I think that there's so much literature out there that it's very unlikely that anyone in any high level actually read them themselves. They probably had people who like gave them the cliff notes on them, and if there's something important that they need to know to avoid, like something like that, yeah. But I think there's a lot that Filoni can use from it, just like and it happens in Marvel too. Like they're like, for instance, like Taika Waititi, he didn't even know Hercules was a Marvel character. He didn't know. They don't read all the comics, and there's no way that the Star Wars directors that they have working on these films or suits in Disney have read all the novels. I just don't. I completely disagree on that. I don't think that.
I know Kathleen Kennedy hasn't, because for
I
her
know
to
she
make a
has.
statement, for her to basically make a statement that, there's no source material at that point, to
Yeah,
kind of go off of. I was like, wow. And I think what Filoni is doing with him, he recognizes that, it was I think for him, he recognizes it was a mistake to
yeah.
not include some of this, material in. So what he's basically doing is
I mean,
sprinkling, or he's going back and seeing how he can kind of like pay homage to it and bring it
because
back in
it's a
a
loophole,
certain
right?
way.
If you say all those books never took place, like those aren't canon, there's no it's not breaking the rules to say, oh, let's use these characters and just do them differently, because now you're just doing it, under this umbrella.
Well,
So
and like,
it's not this, so it's just basically taking things. It basically gives them leeway to cherry pick without having to stay loyal to those novels and those characterizations. They can change and twist anything that they want to. They can pull from it, and Marvel does that a lot with their movies. They say like, look, all these comic books, that's those comic books, so we can take the Infinity War story and switch it up and have it be Iron Man instead of Nebula. And you can't say, hey, that's not what happened, because they're not trying to just port it 1-1. They're doing their version of it. They're tweaking it. So I think that the only difference is Marvel never implicitly said, hey, none of those are canon. It's just assumed that none of those are canon because this is a cinematic universe as opposed to a literature universe. So they're just using what they want from it, and that's fine. Like, it's just in a way it protects them from people saying, hey, you did it wrong because it's not like the books. And when they protected themselves from that, because they've already said this isn't, we're not using the books as canon, so now we can do whatever we want in the films without being tied down to anything that was already in the novel. And with Thrawn, it's a great character to do with that, because there's tons of source material for him to use, and that would work well visually on screen too, because we've seen so many different villains over the course of Star Wars, and despite the fact that Palpatine was so smart, a lot of it wasn't fleshed out until the Clone Wars animation. And what you seen that he did smart things behind the scenes, and you assumed it, but you didn't really get a big dose of it. Like, you just got to see more of like a cackling, menacing villain. You didn't get to see the strategy, and this is a type of cerebral villain that I think is really interesting to play out. It's like a Luthor to a Superman. It's like one shouldn't be able to compete with another, but he's so strategic and smart that it makes it all the more impressive and interesting and dangerous that he is, who he is, because he doesn't have force powers to fight Ahsoka. He's going to beat her by outsmarting her, and that's really scary, because that's just really impressive and really cool. And the way that they've managed to pull it off in the books has created so many fans of this character, and then built upon it in Rebels with them doing the same thing with a different crew, with the Ghost crew, and then we get to see that now live action. So I'm beyond excited, because Ahsoka was enough to get all of us in the door, but adding Thrawn into the mix too, I'm sure we all are just dying to see how how they do it. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I think again, I have this nervous thing in my the thing is because I know when you're talking Thrawn, like, you're talking a character that is literally one of the most beloved characters after we got the OT and everything that we saw then. So you have a massive following with this character, people who love the character's involvement. There were certain characters that were spawned from this book itself. I mean, which to me is like when you're doing this and you make references to it, and you know that Luke was involved in this. You know what I mean? You know that Luke was involved. You know, Mara Jade played a role in this as well. You know that, you know, both Han and Leia was in this. Leia was more in touch with her force power, her force, you know, abilities and stuff like that. When you're dealing with all of this, it's like, okay, how do you mention those things but not sprinkle those other elements in? That's what I'm wondering how. This is a strong thing for Filoni to tackle. How the hell is he going to be able to do it without, you know, again, and on top of that, he's written every episode of Ahsoka. He's written every single episode. I think he's directed every episode. Am I correct?
I'm not sure about directing. I know he's written them though.
Yeah, I
have
don't
a
know.
question for everybody though. Do y'all think we'll see the? I'm gonna butcher the name, but do you think we'll see the Salamiri or Salamir, however you say it?
If we see a toy get leaked, then yes.
Lego.
I mean,
Well, it
that
sounds
odd,
like
I think we will
it
because
sounds like
it's a-
they did cast Eli Vanto.
I feel like it's a layup. But the only thing is, once you open that box, it's hard to go back because then you could just throw that in there as a plot armor, plot device
Mhm.
whenever. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost like if they do it, I hope that they like end the show with them all getting wiped out, so that way don't beat it to death.
Like I said, there's rumors, but I'll leave the rumors where they are because it's kind of tough to say.
Yeah.
I agree
What were we gonna
with
say?
Six Scale Mafia as far
What'd
as
you say?
like I agree with Six Scale Mafia,
Mhm.
where
Which one?
if they cast Eli, then they'll go off the new Thrawn novels. So like he's been the subject of 9 books and 1 short story. Of those, 6 are canon. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to grab a lot from Heir to the Empire. I think also they might have issues with that as far as royalties go, because I think that I recall when he was in Rebels, I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I thought I recalled something from Timothy Zahn saying that he wasn't involved, he wasn't consulted, and he also wasn't paid. So for that reason, I find it really hard to believe that they would go even further back. They'd probably just lean on what we know from the new novels that are canon. Otherwise, they don't want to owe him royalties and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think, but see, that's the thing because it's known now that Timothy Zahn is actually involved heavily into what's going on with Filoni because Filoni made it a point to basically bring him in. Hopefully, they're making right what was wrong. They're righting that ship at this point. They just kind of like make sure that he gets the credit that's needed and that he gets the full credit and pay that he needs at that point. But this is going to be interesting because, like he said, and on top of that, they said that Timothy is really happy at what they're doing with him. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing that he's satisfied. But I hope it's like he's not just doing it because he's they're paying you well, so of course you're going to pander to it. I hope that because the thing is, it's like there's so much richness in Thrawn's story, and like. Literally, it was so fitting to have this story right after what we came off of. You know what I mean? That we've been riding. It's like, oh, there's no time to lick your wounds. You know what I mean? At this point, like there's a lot going on in this galaxy that you don't know about, and someone who's been waiting for that version of the galaxy to fall because he's basically been prone to take over at that point. So
I also love that Andor kind of like prepared the audience for what a character like him could be as like a litmus test, and I think it's been maybe a little bit divisive, but for the most part I think Andor has been well enough received that if we have a show with a villain that's more methodical and has monologues and has like monotone like deliveries and isn't just like huge explosions and lightsaber battles every episode. This is something that the fans are going to be well received and enjoy. I'm I'm dying to see that duality of that type of very outlandish
Mhm.
character like Ahsoka and a very methodical character like Thrawn. It's such a great duality there.
Yeah. I just the other dangerous part about this is to introduce the world between worlds. Like it's I'm hoping like as long as they don't try to pull in and change certain because here's the thing, and people are going to hate me when I say this, right? They're going to definitely hate me when I say this. Don't try to change the sequels. Leave them where they are. And I say that for a reason. Leave them where they are. Just do something different and focus in on
And
this
even if you
story.
hate the sequels with every fiber of your being, the thought that people would think that they're really going to go out of the way to change them is
Nah,
ridiculous. It's
nah.
best to just move on, even if they themselves don't like them anymore. You can't win by trying to retcon a sequels that aren't even 10 years old. You just move on to something else. Make something else that's great, and people will forget what's bad.
Yeah, yeah, we did see Captain Pelion in Mando, so definitely we saw him in the final episode. So we already know that there's ties to Thrawn at that point. Have you read Heir to the Empire?
I've listened to most of the book on audiobook, so I didn't read it. I listened to
Gotcha.
audiobooks.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. Um, I haven't been that uh, pleased with how Filoni has been writing recently. So I don't know what to expect from his writing coming forward.
Mhm.
So this is going to be, let's say, the first season of a series, and
Mhm.
if he's able to pull this off, it's going to be a huge feather in his cap. But I don't know. I'm conflicted by how the live action version is going to be versus what we've even seen in animation, let's say, which is
Mhm.
one of the first interpretations outside of the books. Thrawn was fantastic in animation, and
Mhm.
it's going to be hard to capture that. It has to be done a certain way. I have no idea if that's what we're going to see in Ahsoka. So if it's there, that'd be wonderful. But um, it's I don't even know how to interpret it. Um, I think this actor is certainly capable of giving us a fantastic performance, and I don't think it has anything to do with the cast per se. I just hope he turns out to be as you know what's the word I would say, trying to understand and break down another character in the show. That's what he likes
Mhm.
to do. He likes
Yeah.
to break you down, and I think if we don't
Deconstruction.
see that, maybe there would be another side to Thrawn we could see. But I feel like we need to see that. I don't know. It's not
Yeah.
absolutely necessary.
We need literally
Political
like
mastermind, military mastermind.
we need to see everyone lose. Literally. We need to see them lose. At the end of this season, I need to see everybody lose and Thrawn triumph. Literally. At least to set that up. I need to basically see that. So whereas you just when you think everything is looking up, that it just goes horribly wrong. We need to see that because the thing is, he's just that methodical. Like I mean, because it's one of those situations. Like every casualty in his book, every casualty or every loss, or if he just lets things go, is to make you think that you're winning. You know what I
Yo, but
mean?
that's what's
So,
so funny about Thrawn. Like he's a hypocrite, yo. Like
yeah.
if one of his subordinates loses a battle, he'd be like, "You're done," and it would kill him. Like, look, you're an idiot. If he loses a battle, it's like, "Yeah, I did that on purpose, so that way now we know what formation they do." And yeah, all right, cool. And I'm like, yo, now hold up, man. You didn't know that y'all are gonna lose. That you be bullshitting sometimes, Thrawn. You be bullshitting. But that's the genius of him because he just play. He really does, but he really does learn from his mistakes, and he's super smart. But
Yeah.
he be bullshitting.
Well, it's interesting to kind of like interpret what he actually wants. I don't think anybody in the galaxy can understand what he exactly wants, and that's what makes him also even more intriguing.
Yeah, it's with him, yeah. I think that again, I'm right there with CC. Like, it's great knowing, um, that he's there and that basically they're bringing this character into live action, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy that they're announcing that they are paying some attention to such a great character. I'm just hoping that they get it right. That's it. Hope they need to definitely get this right. I mean, they don't. It can't be one of those situations where you just bring a character and just for the sake of, and it's just another wasted opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, they just need to get it right. So hopefully we'll definitely see something like that. I don't know. I don't know. It could be wishful thinking, but I'm just hoping that they do it well. You know what I mean? So anyway, I kind of wanted to kind of move in a different direction here, because speaking of like what we're speaking of right now, like what we're talking about, I want to talk about like the direction that we're supposed to be going in now with the future of these films. Now, we were just talking about Dave Filoni, so we know that he's been helmed to, he's part of this new film that he's doing, where he's going to tie the Mandoverse together in this one film. And of course, they said that Thrawn's going to be the main baddie. But we also know that James Mangold is actually coming in, and he's teetering around an idea, or he's actually bringing us the first official Jedi, when that was formed, so he's going back to that moment. And then we also know that what is her name again? Shameen, is it Shameen Shinoy or something like that? I think she's the one who did Miss Marvel, if I'm correct. I think she's the director. She's doing the new Jedi Order, like where basically Rey is coming in, or they're bringing the character Rey back. Now, what's being said is that Rey is not the main character of this new film, but she's going to be the one who's to help start the new Jedi Order. With all of this basically being said, and what the announcements that they've made, because CC and we didn't get a chance to talk about this really while we were there, to really kind of dive into it. But CC, what are your thoughts initially about majority of the announcements, and where do you sit with it? Like, where's your optimism with this?
So, like a typical fan, I'm excited that they're even talking about movies in the first place. Just because I feel like it's been so long since we've seen a Star Wars movie in theaters, and I'm just excited for that prospect. But I think what I said at the time with the announcement of Rey's movie is that that's not anything I think anyone was asking for.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I do think that sometimes I have to be reminded of, I saw a video today, it was like a TikTok, and it was someone saying like, don't you dare compare Rey to Vader. And it kind of showed that scene from Rise of Skywalker where she's like pulling the ship down and struggling with it before she uses the Force lightning. And then you saw the scene with Vader from Kenobi where he pulls the ship down completely. And a lot of people in the comments were like, first of all, bro, like no one was making those comparisons that we're aware of. But also like you can't really compare the two, for it's kind of unfair as far as like where their starting points are with the Force and how equipped they are and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of reminded me of the fact that I think because some aspects of the sequels put a bad taste in my mouth, I won't say all of them, but I do remember being incredibly excited about The Force Awakens. And my issue with the sequels does not lie with Rey or Daisy Ridley. So there's that. So I'm excited. Also, it's Rey. So I'm like, if they do anything to screw up the character, I'm not going to get upset, because it's not like I've had decades to sit with that character and appreciate that character. And it's not like Boba Fett. She's not like a legacy character where if we do something wrong, there's going to be fire and pitchforks. I feel like they have full reign. because it was a Disney created character.
Mhm.
So I am actually, I mean, I think I'm just excited to go to the movie theater and see a Star Wars movie again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to hear any complaints with me as far as the fact that, like I said, I don't think anyone was asking for a Rey movie, but I'm still intrigued.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I think
Intrigued.
we're listen, and I said this before, and they can burn me on the pitchfork if they want to or the cross. I don't care. I liked her arc. I liked her story. I liked potentially where it could have gone. Yes, they did my boy John Boyega terribly, and I hope they make up for that. But they definitely have to. But I liked the potential of where this character can go. But the actress isn't responsible for the writing. The actress isn't responsible for the directing. She's just dealing out and acting out what was given to her. People, their gripes with the sequels were because, again, there was no plan. Where there's no plan, where there's no continuity, where just basically it just looks awful, then of course the people, anybody who has an involvement has to suffer. Unfortunately, her being one of the lead characters, she had to. But if the story was written differently and if it was written well, then of course we would probably see this character differently. Again, we're talking about how the prequels were received when they were, written and they were directed, and George Lucas. And we're talking about films that were directed by George Lucas that people hated, and it was his ideas. You know what I mean? So, again, we see sort of like the same thing now, but if the story over time, you're going to have like a generation now that enjoyed the sequels, a generation who right now, the young cats now that were born that like it, and that's just what they know for Star Wars, just like it was for us. But I think that with this character, if the story is written well, if the character is written well and it serves its purpose, that's all we actually ask for. Just like you, CC, I'm excited to basically see Star Wars in the theaters again, and I'm optimistic, and I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible because I want to see it successful. And I think that in so many aspects, they even understand that there have been way too many effing duds, and that we have to give something that's going to be meaningful. The story has to literally touch on certain things that it not just mainly appeasing the fans, but just making sure that you're giving a solid product for your company. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What's your thoughts behind it, so far, and what we're seeing, coming forward?
Well, what I was going to say is that, I am very excited for them to make more movies. I feel like it's about time.
Mhm.
They need to get moving on this, and kind of ride on some of the momentum on some of the other shows that people have piqued interest on, or at least are still showing interest in. The other thing I was going to say is, yeah, I honestly, I don't care who is the star of the film. I just want a good story.
Mhm.
And one thing I think we can expect is the unexpected, because that's what we've been getting. It's just stuff that we're not expecting. And so I'm not, I'm expecting something very unusual and different from what I think we possibly could get, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I really hope for me, I'm just hoping for a good story. So if they can pull off a good story, it'll just be wonderful to see
Yeah.
something that, we can get as excited about. I'm not expecting it to be like Andor either. I think that's a very standalone project, and
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of needs to be on its own, has its own tone.
Mhm.
So why not give us, you know, more films where we can kind of experience something different now, um, something that we haven't experienced.
Yeah, and I think stepping away from the Star Wars, the Skywalker legacy is a start, to be quite honest, because if you step away from that, the thing is though, which we already know, and Vinny, I'm a go to you with this after this, and see, and y'all know where I'm going with this. The problem is that with this film, as soon as the words Ray Skywalker are muttered on that screen, or people will flip the fuck out because this is what they do. She's not a fucking Skywalker. You know, they'll say that. You know, this is basically the first thing that they'll actually say. You know, if they can kind of get away from that, you know, whereas, okay, we know who she is, but let's focus on the story. Let's focus on the story going forward instead of rehashing on what came before.
Yeah.
Then we can possibly see something successful. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts, Benny?
To the that previous point, hopefully they don't double down to be like, no, we'll tell you what she is, and have them say it a lot. Hopefully they just call her Rey. That's fine. We all know that that's the moniker she picked up. They don't have to like drive that home to make their point. But I'm excited for a Rey movie. I feel like Rey was a great introduced character. There was a lot of polarizing with her too, and I feel like the biggest issue that happened with those sequels was they just were disorganized and on so many different pages on how to approach saying goodbye and saying hello at the same time. And it was really difficult because there was a lot of people who just wanted to see the gang get back together again. And there was a lot of people who wanted to see what new Star Wars had to offer. And they weren't sure who to make happy. So they kind of wound up making nobody happy. And then there's times where, like we've seen in even Mandalorian, where they're making everybody happy with the same problem. Like they're saying goodbye to, you know, they're referencing old characters and introducing new ones. And it's absolutely doable and possible, and they just kind of dropped the ball on it. I feel like if we would have got a Rey and Kylo and Finn movie that just was a totally different time without Luke and Han and Leia and everybody, I feel like it would have been so much more well received because they were likable characters. I mean, the you know, Rey was awesome, and Force Awakens was incredible. Her introduction, man, a lot of people loved her. It wasn't until all the stuff that went left in Last Jedi that people kind of turned on her, and I feel like so much of that had to deal with stuff that had nothing to do with her. And so I agree with a lot of you guys' point is that, you know, it's not Rey's fault, it's not Daisy's fault, and I always felt like she would pay the price for a lot of executive decisions that she had nothing to do with. She did her job. Same with same with Hayden Christensen. He paid the price for a lot of decisions that he had nothing to do with, and then years later people love him again. And this is basically Disney just kind of fast forwarding to 20 years from now when the kids who were 5 and 8 and 10, you know, growing up with the sequels want to see more sequel type content, and instead of waiting until they're all too old to do anything that makes sense to have happened right after their story, just doing it anyways. Because as someone in their 40s, one of the biggest letdowns of being a Star Wars fan is that they didn't do the, you know, the sequel stories first, where we could have had a young Luke and you could have had a young Han and Leia, and they waited till they were, you know, elderly to do those stories, and then they had to change up everything that should have naturally organically came after their, you know, their big parts of the, you know, franchise. So I like them doing this. Obviously it's going to be controversial, and there's going to be a lot of people shitting on it, and a lot of people wondering what they're going to do with Finn. But I feel like I'm excited to see what they do with Rey. Rey's a great character who had some. I'm not thrilled with her pulling a cruiser out of the sky either. There is some Mary Sue moments, but it is what it is. You know, that I don't take that away from her or her performance. I'm interested in seeing her do other stuff and keep that story going, especially considering that's like not all they're doing other stuff too. And I think that they're smart to realize, like, you don't have to wait 10 years and then put all your eggs into this one basket, and if people don't like it, you just go tuck your tail between your legs and wait another 10 years. Put out a few different types of projects for appealing to different types of people. Star Wars is now so broad, so wide ranging. It's, again, not to just keep going back to what Marvel's doing, but Marvel is going out of their way to say, like, hey, here's an audience that likes, horror. Here's an audience that likes goofy comedy. Here's an audience that likes different things, and trying to appeal to all those different people, knowing that the people who loved, Werewolf by Night might not be the same people who love Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, but you're going to, get, everybody's dollar is green. Get as much of it as you can. From a executive standpoint, that's eventually going to, be the primary, motivation for getting back on this horse, because they've been afraid to, make another mistake. And it's like, scared money don't make money. You got to get out there and try and hire good writers, good creative talent. And there's, when Star Wars is good, it's amazing. So there's too many talented people out there to not even try. I do also like the concept for Mangold's, first Jedi premise. I'm not sure if it'll be Jesus or whoever it'll be, but they'll, but they'll be that'll be. I mean, he did Logan, man. I want to see the dude who made
Yeah.
Logan do a Star Wars movie. Hell yeah,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
Yeah. That was my next thing, with Mangold.
Yeah.
Coming in and, choosing to, touch on the First Order, the First Jedi Order, and, just being that person to bring his, because I mean, so far from people who've, delve in and have actually seen, Indiana Jones, a lot of people are saying it's great, it's good so far. And his touch on it was incredible. Like we said, he's done, Logan, um, you know, um, and I definitely enjoyed that. So his spin on it could be incredible. And it's James Mangold. And that's basically, like I said, I mean, so CC, like, what, where are you aligned with, Mango choosing to go back and, start with the first Jedi Order and the first Jedi that were introduced? What are your thoughts with that?
I think that it's almost like the final frontier. If you can't go forward, or if you have gone forward and no one's very fussed, like with Ray, I think they've said it's going to be set, what, like
15 years,
15
15
years
years
after Rise.
after. Yeah.
I think that starting with like the first, you mean, would that be like the Old Republic then?
Well, it's a little bit before the Old Republic. Is like around, you might as well say it's centered around sort of like that, because he's the first order, like the first Jedi Order, the first Jedi.
Yeah.
That's where he's basically going, like, I guess the first Force users or whatever. Yeah.
I think that they've been trying to get people excited about that with the novels, which I haven't read those ones actually. I think that's High Republic, but I think that it's like that's the final frontier we haven't really scratched the surface on, is going backwards that far. It's funny, we talked a lot about Thrawn and how they're cherry picking their favorite parts or aspects about the expanded universe that they made no longer canon, and of course I was very excited about Thrawn, but the other one I'd love for them to, timeline wise, it would not make sense because it's, I think, even older than the Old Republic, but the Bane trilogy, or just Darth Bane in general, and the Rule of Two, that's the kind of stuff I'd love to see, and I think we're going to get a taste of that with Acolyte. So yeah, I think that's, again, because you're not messing with legacy characters. There's nothing for them to really ruin. Like, it's all new, uncharted territory. So I think
which
that's
is like a playground where you can just play in, you know what I mean, and not have to worry about offending people, unless you get like the loyalists who, believe that they know everything there is about a Jedi, to say, oh no, this isn't right, or this would have never happened. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, they're going to go so far back. It's not like you could argue, wait a minute, if that really important thing happened or that really important character existed, why didn't we ever hear about them before or see them before? They could always explain that away, but it's like, listen, there's thousands of years between. Of course you're not going to know or have references to any of these characters and the heroes that we're already familiar with. So, yeah, I think it would be a very smart decision on their part to do more of that. I know, I actually just saw an article about it where it was talking about if Rogue Squadron is
Yeah.
truly like Top Gun meets Star Wars, then why
Yeah.
can't we get that off the ground? That's not
Yeah.
something we talked about tonight, but like I do question that as to, well, they're willing to go so far back as to talk about like the first Jedi Order, or the making of the first Jedi Order, the Jedi themselves, but they're struggling really hard with Rogue Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather not do
Yeah.
anything like that. That's strange to me.
Yeah, that definitely is.
It was
I
Leia.
hope that. Yeah. I hope we get that. I hope they bring in Astro Mouse. In at least one. I'm just playing Mafia. I didn't mean to say that, bro. I know you out there, but I had to throw Astro Mouse out there, bro. But anyway, now I think there's a lot of hope for this, because again, it's like you said, a space that is unfamiliar to a lot of people, even to like someone who would call themselves like a enthusiast when it comes to the Jedi Order. you know it's a different interpretation, because there's things that we haven't really discovered yet, haven't really talked about yet, and known yet, whether it's novels and whatever. Like you said, they're just starting to do that now. um you know what I mean? They're just starting to do that now. So they're giving us a peek. Like you said, the novels that they're giving us with, the High Republic, stuff like that. They're kind of warming up. And I think that they've already had an idea. This is where they wanted to go. My only thing is like, you had a perfect opportunity to give us Knights of the Old Republic. You didn't. And that's the shit that burns me up, because I wish they would have did that with Revan and oh, that'd have been incredible. What are your thoughts about Mangold coming in and putting his spin on it, and knowing his credit? Again, Logan is going to stand the test of time, because that was incredible. I can't wait to basically see Indiana Jones in what is it, the Dial of Destiny. I definitely can't wait to see that, Vinny. That's another thing that we forgot about, because it's gonna be a whole month. It's next month is gonna be full, bro. But yeah, definitely can't wait for that, man. But what are your thoughts about this?
Well, they've already brought us to Tython at least once or twice in the series so far. So, but we didn't really learn much. We were physically there, but considering what is on that planet, we've only kind of scratched the surface of that. And I think I feel like I'd much rather learn about what some of the potential of the past is about, versus necessarily going to the past in that way. I like what Cece was talking about. I always felt that the rule of two was something that should be explored, because it shaped so much of the Sith and their lifestyle going forward. And of course, I don't really know if it's still in place. Like, let's say at this very moment, it's something to think about. I don't know whether there's sort of like Siths who are purists and are like, yes, it has to be rule two, and then other ones who are like, yeah, I don't want to do that, like the one in Visions, where she's like, I'm not living this way. So that's something else that I wonder about. But it was just such a strong cultural thing for the Sith, that I think that it might even be the most revolutionary thing for the Sith. The idea of the rule of two versus everything else before that and after that. After that, everything was different. After that, everything became changed. So that was something that is huge. It happened, a while ago, but it still needs to be told properly. And ideally, anybody who watches, a lot of people aren't even, well, we know about it because we're heavy in the fandom, but there are a lot of people who don't know about it, but it's so incredibly important. So I think that that's something that should be visited. But I don't know about, going back to the first the Jedi, like I'm not so enthused about hearing about that, because I think that an interpretation of that group at this point in the game would be foolhardy.
And that's the thing, is like, if you're going back to that, then the weaponry even around that time was primitive. You know what I mean? It wasn't you know, if you're talking about this, the first introduction of a saber where they wore like a backpack, you know, to kind of energize the kyber crystal to keep it stable. I hope they don't do that, but I mean, still, they're, you know, I think there's opportunities as long, and I think that someone like Mangold, you know, could tell the story, you know, from a certain standpoint that would make it interesting. You know, so yeah, they had Charlie Unicorn lightsabers with battery packs. Remember that? It definitely was. That's the way it was. It's like the sabers had like these connections. We got a touch of that with the Ralph McQuarrie art form back then, but yeah, that would be interesting. That's incredible. But
or steampunk, you know, or something very
yeah, like that's just the way it was, and I don't want
maybe
to
even
see that.
Ronin. You know, we don't know.
They're
I
gonna
mean,
be
it could be.
you're gonna be throwing kyber crystals like rocks, just like
Yeah.
cavemen. Just,
Yeah. Yeah, Mafia said, "Yeah, I think let the mystery remain." You said, "Let the mystery remain a mystery." Otherwise, we're going to get another midichlorian situation. Um,
I want like kyber crystal pocket sand.
Kyber pocket saying, that, bro, like, but you say that, but that's interesting. Like, literally, like, you know, I've always want to know, you know, literally in live action how they were able to stabilize the kyber crystal. You know what I mean? How that became a thing. What, like, knowing, you know, how strong the force, you know, roamed through a kyber crystal, how it selected its, you know, it's something like that could be interesting, but if it's told right, you know, antagonist, protagonist, what we're going to find out how this is going to go. But I have faith, you know, that it could be good.
I feel like they're just gonna have like the force tell them what to do. It'll be just a voice from a burning bush or something. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be genius.
I'd like to
Hey,
see. I'm sorry. I'd like to see Jocasta New tell some stories.
hey, I want to see her wield the saber because they showed elements of that. So that would definitely be dope. We got DJ says, I agree. Don't really care about the past stories. Let's move to the future. I'm more excited for the Ray film than Mango. I'm definitely excited for Ray's film, bro. I'm right there with you. I can care less what a lot of people say. I cannot wait for that film to drop. And I think that she deserves the space now, but a lot of people are like, yo, it's too soon. What's ever too soon? Like what's ever too soon for Star Wars? We haven't
What
had
do
a
they want to
film
wait
in
40
how
years
long?
like we had to with Luke?
Yeah, bro. Like, you know, it's what's ever too soon. Like, we haven't had a film, you know, in so many years now. Like, it's been how many years since we had the last film? Was it like almost 4 or 5 years now? It's like 4.
2019, right?
Yeah,
Here's the thing, though. Is it
Right.
disappointing if they don't bring in Finn?
I think it would be, but I mean, there's rumors. Again, there's rumors that he's in talks to come back and stuff like that. He hasn't said anything.
Because
He hasn't disputed
I
it,
mean,
but
obviously, if they come knocking, he might change his tune. But right now, he's just hurt and he
yeah.
barely wants anything to do with Star Wars.
Mhm.
So I imagine if they're going to come knocking, they're going to do something with him. Because I would to make it the worst case scenario is bringing them back and then still do some dumb bullshit like they did with the second 2 movies.
Yeah.
If you're not going to bring him in and have him be a Jedi, don't bring him in.
Don't bring him in at all. That's my point. If you're gonna bring him in and still make him a sidekick that's running around screaming Ray the entire film, it's gonna piss me off.
Because I know what they're not going to do. Just you and I both know they're not going to put them together for reasons you and I both know. But at least do the Jedi thing.
Yeah, do the Jedi thing, and I think that's where it can actually dwell. You know what I mean? Because it is. I just don't want her. Don't have this whole faint reaction or you know, just go back and start remembering. You know, Ben. You know. I don't want that Ben Solo shit. Let
There
that lay where it was.
There was let's say a children's special. This is what it was. You know, it was a Christmas special, Star Wars Christmas special, and it had Rey, and I believe it had Finn in it. And in the story, they kind of squeezed in something like, well, Rey is teaching Finn how to use the Force. And I thought that was really interesting because it seems like they were fighting against that in
Yeah.
the sequels. Like they didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened. Maybe somebody squeezed it in, like a voice actor says, and Ray shows him how to use a force. And they're like, oh, you put that in there? You weren't supposed to put that in there. Like,
they glossed over it like real quick or something like that. Yeah.
And I was like, did you hear that? You know, and of course, you know, it was in there. And of course, that's the same one where she goes through time and she like visits, you know, Luke right before he's about to blow up the Death Star. All this sort of crazy stuff, you know, stuff that I guess many of us would probably, if you had a time machine, you'd go back and see. But my point is that why did they choose to say that at that moment? I have a feeling that was the plan all along. Maybe they changed it, but you know, it wasn't an accident.
Justice for Broom Boy.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, I mean, we all felt that natural progression that didn't happen, and they were. You know, he was cock blocked. That's really the truth.
And this is exactly Mafia. You were damn right. What happened was they wanted to capitalize on the Chinese
and not just
market.
China here too. Not just China here too. Let's be real. They knew how much of the audience, and even in America, they would lose if Ray and Finn were together.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, but it would have been damn good, though, wouldn't it?
It would have. It would have good or not. It would have been logical. That's what they set up. That's what even the damn trailer set up. Trailer set up Ray to be. Trailer set up Finn to be a Jedi. The movie set up them to be together, and then they were like, "Wait." Test results came in, and survey results came in, and
in my mind, they still hooked up. So I don't know about the rest of the
huge
galaxy.
Part of the country will not want to see the next movie if you know Ray and Finn
something happened.
Well, it's just like they friend zoned him at the end of Force Awakens, like you know what I mean. So it was just.
And then not only they cock block and friend zone Finn, but they to add insult to injury, twisted it to make it where like they might set up him and Poe. It's like,
yeah, nah, they did that.
But they purposely said that she was teaching him how to use the Force. So then you're kind of like acknowledging that he has that ability, and that somehow at some point, you know, it's okay for us to tell the children that they use the Force together. I guess just as long as they don't play doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. So I don't know, man. And yeah, they had him kiss Rose Tico just to kind of flush that out. The next film,
it was so forced.
It was super forced, and it just didn't make any sense at all. Come on, man. That was dumb. Again, like I said, I hope they do, yeah. I hope they definitely give him some justice, bro, because he needs it. They need to give him justice. They need to bring him back and just write that shit, make him a Jedi. Because the thing is, if you tease it at the end of Force Awakens, putting a lightsaber in his hand, like we saw in the trailers, come the fuck on, bro. Like literally, the opportunity was there, and they just dropped the ball.
Another consideration would be for them to make a video game about Finn. Like I would play that game, and it would be cool. You know, like let's start it off with just his story. And it's a unique story, and that'd be a cool video game.
Yeah, definitely it would be. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm very definitely optimistic about the future when it comes to, you know, what we can. Hopefully, they give us something good. I want to be as optimistic as I possibly can because I want to see films. I want to see Star Wars on a big screen again. I definitely want to see that. You know what I mean? I want to sit in the same theater as Cece and just hear her cussing just like because she's just happy. You know what I mean? Bro, they have to put you in a film. Like, literally, they have to put you in a film just saying the most ironic shit. I would watch it just fucking because. And
well, I say, so everyone knows I have an awful mouth. I'll have to send it to you guys afterwards because I totally forgot about this. I think it was like a TikTok or reel or whatever. It sounds like one of the Babu Fricks in Mando says motherfucker.
That's what somebody tried to say that he said when he was walking away from Grogu because he hugged him.
Yeah. And I'm like, I love them even more now.
No squeezy. It was a bad baby, no squeezy. They said when he walked away, he said motherfucker or something like that.
Yeah.
No squeezy, motherfucker. You know what? I want to put it past Disney. Disney always has some like hidden sexual stuff like Lion King and Secret of NIMH, like a whole bunch of those. Who knows?
Well, I remember, I forget what I forget what scene it was, but like when we're watching it, Matt even said like, did he say what I thought he's not the motherfucker thing, but like I think it was when the pirates were attacking Navarro. One of the Babu freaks said something like, "Oh, it'll be okay, it'll be okay."
Did he
It'll be
say
okay.
that?
He said it like, "Oh, like like everything will be okay," but like I just remember hearing the okay part, and Matt repeated it, and I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one who heard that. I thought that was
See,
funny.
they slide it in there like really faint. So you don't know. Come on, man. We got it. We know what it is. But yeah, that's it. I mean, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover tonight. You know, just to kind of see where everybody was sitting. Hopefully everybody out there, like, you feel the same way. We got content that, you know, is coming. Hopefully, like, they can write that ship and give us the magic. I know there were some thoughts about Mando, you know, off and on. I enjoyed it for what it was. You know, I take elements from a show or from shows that we get. I find enjoyment in certain parts. I try to just etch out everything that's kind of negative. We do got Andor season. You know, here's the thing though, it's kind of pissing me off. Did you hear today that, you know, what was it, today or yesterday, that what's his name? The director,
Tony Gilroy.
Tony Gilroy, had to take himself out and remove himself out of production credits and stuff like that on his film because of the writer's strike, because they basically, one of the writers went at him because of his involvement on the show. So he had to take himself out of it. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. Solidarity and everything is there. It's a must. I get all that, bro. But like, damn, like this shit, I hope they come to some type of agreement soon, because this thing is, even like right now, Daredevil had to suffer because of it. They stopped production on Daredevil.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, this is really getting out of hand. And I don't blame the writers. I blame these motherfuckers who are stubborn and don't want to give them what they're due.
Yeah.
Did they stop production on Andor, or did he do that in an effort to prevent?
No, they didn't stop production. He just took himself out of the production, and right, because the thing is, if you're part of the guild, then you can't be on set making changes or recommending any type of changes, because it's frowned upon and they'll call you out on it. And I guess there's a fine or something. Something can happen, especially during a strike. So you can't be a part of it. So because he was a part of it, he took himself out of it because of whatever was.
Because they were calling him a scab. That's why.
Yeah.
That sounds like not them calling him out on it, but like it sounds like the best possible scenario, because I think Andor's pretty much finished already.
Yeah.
Production. So it was really just a symbolic thing. It's not like his
and
thoughts towards the show are going to change much in post. I feel like
the argument is that they want
like
stronger writers who have more clout, who are doing better work, to be more representative on the picket line, since a good portion of these writers that are on there aren't necessarily being recognized for their stellar work, while he is. So their idea is like, we really need somebody like him on the picket line. If he pickets for us, then we'll get, you know, whatever our demands are. And of course, they're not going to get any of these demands because they're
that's
not
a big part of it. Because a lot of the writers that are disenfranchised are basically like being treated as gig writers. And then when you get enough clout, you're part of the creative process, you're part of the ownership process, and somebody like him doesn't have to worry about the things that they're worried about now. He's established. So, but nowadays with the way the thing is really hard to. And then, hopefully they get all the things that they're looking for, because they're not really asking for that much more money, and they're also trying to stop one of the things that's most looming and dooming, and that is the studios hiring AI to write the stuff. And by saying hiring, but
they've been using AI for several years. You can tell by the scripts that have been coming out that it's definitely AI.
And it's scary and horrible. Like I really hate the fact that it's here. It's real. It's like right out of a movie.
It's a real thing. It's a real scary situation, man. And that's why I'm like, you know what? I hope it never goes down that road, because I definitely won't support show or movie that actually relies on that, because it's not authentic. It's not coming from the heart at all. So I would never do that. They say AI is coming for your job, man. F that. Mm-mm.
I think a lot of people share that sentiment. I feel that way. I want original work, and I want to see
Yeah.
human beings in certain roles. Maybe the idea of recreating individuals using AI is not anything that is going to go over necessarily with a lot of favoritism now that we've gotten to a point where it's so readily available.
Yeah. The only thing that's dangerous right now, though, is that it's not just now they're talking about the possibility of the Screen Actors Guild going on strike as well. You know what I mean? And producers and all. I'm like, wow, like this is really
Yeah.
If IATSE joins them along with the Screen Actors Guild, it's over.
it's over. It's over. Like literally, you're gonna see a lot of things. Everything's gonna shut down. Like seriously, we're gonna go back to watching Me TV and My TV, where like straight up. That's it. Like it's gonna
Reruns
shut
of
down.
reality shows.
Reality TV shows is gonna run everything.
Those are scripted
straight up.
too.
Huh?
Those are scripted too, reality shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
But
not-
much easier to script, supposedly.
Yep.
So you
then-
know what though?
Yeah.
It's going to make people like me, you, and YouTubers
Smaller staff.
extremely happy, because then everybody has to watch us. Seriously, form of entertainment. Watch us.
We're going to be
Unscripted.
one of the most desirable commodities because we're original individuals, and that's something that will
Exactly.
become rare.
Yeah, we would like to sign y'all temporarily for a couple $1 million. Sign me up now. Damn it, I'll do this all day.
How many
Straight
hours
up,
a day
let's
do we
go.
have to be on camera?
Hell yeah. I'll be Robert Meyer Burnett. I'll definitely be on camera all day, every day. For real. Let's go. Let's go. But anyway, man, thank you guys out there for attending. It's been a great show today. Cece, when you gonna show us some prints? When you gonna show us some more
Do you want
prints?
me to send you some photos?
You got some now?
We could run. I think so. That's what I was on my phone for earlier. Let's see if
Okay.
Let's see if hour ago me was smart and got all of them. Let me see.
Get them.
Do you want like what's released recently, or like what I bought recently, or like both?
Yeah, whatever. Just whatever you basically bought recently, so we can, pull some of those up. Definitely love to. I'm gonna okay, so let me so it seems like I got some punk ass friends, because they decided that they just wanted to put me on blast, and I'm not I'm not mad at it. Do your worst. Do your worst. I don't care. Do your worst. So what they did was they created this. Do y'all see this? Do y'all see what my friends did to me?
Oh, I did.
Do you see what they did
You
to
are an
me?
Indian superstar.
They
Leo.
created me I'm an Indian Bollywood superstar, and I will take that. I don't care. But y'all could have changed the mullet though. I didn't, you know what I mean? Just gave me a mullet. But it is what it is, because payback is a B. I'm gonna get all y'all back, because you know what? Doesn't matter. Payback is a B. Definitely.
That's where you've been.
Yeah, that's definitely where I've been. You see this? You see what they did to me right here, man? Ain't this insane? Is that so glow? No, it's not. Oh, mafia. I know you spearheaded this too, bro. I know you was a part of this mafia. Paybacks is going to be a B. For real. I got y'all. I definitely got y'all, man. But yeah, it's funny, ain't it? I love the Gambino video. Nope, I'm not showing that one.
Why
You've been
not?
with you.
I'm not showing that one. They got me.
Oh,
going
that one
there.
was
You saw it?
yes. I did, because I was like, it was like almost like too good.
I haven't seen it.
Mafia, yeah, it was, bro, because you was the first one on here to say you did it. So stop playing. Stop playing.
Sorry, I'm
All
still
right.
scrolling.
All right, what time is it right now? Okay, yeah. All right, Arun, I know you got to go. I know we got to kind of close down soon.
You don't have to show anything.
Okay. Well, what we can do, I mean, because we're going to, so I tell you what we'll do, because we're going to actually do it on, Mario show anyway on his episode. He wanted to actually cover it too because he told me. So we can definitely do it then if you don't have them. Whatever. But
I just won't
uh,
hit send.
yeah. Well, I mean, you can if you want to show them really quick.
Oh, I already closed out of it. It's fine. We
Oh,
can do it
okay,
later.
okay, cool. No problem, no problem. Well, we'll do it definitely on Mario show next week if you're going to be there. If everybody will be there, we'll definitely do it because I think he said he's going to run it next week. But anyway, thank you guys for being there, everybody out there. The link for everybody's channel is in the description below. Make sure you do so. CC, what you got coming up?
We have Group Friday tomorrow, and then I might have a print show next Tuesday. We'll see.
Okay, cool. You gonna have a print show next Tuesday? What time?
I think it's normally like 10 p.m. Eastern, but I'll have to see if it jives with Jason and Matt's schedules because we weren't able to do it this week.
Well, let me know because I'll be available. If you need me, I'll be there. So definitely let me know. So I definitely can't wait for that. Vinny, what you got coming up, bro?
I am just swamped with work, but also preparing for my next con. It's a pretty big one, and it's Fan Expo Philadelphia. That's going to be June 2nd through the 4th. And there's going to be a ton of Star Wars guests there. Giancarlo will be there. Peyton will be there. Just tons of guests. Michael J. Fox. The guest list is ridiculous. I was much bigger than it was last year. So
what? Michael J. Fox is going to be here?
Michael J. Fox. Whatchamacallit? Doc will be there.
In Harrisburg?
No. This is the
Philadelphia. Okay, Philadelphia. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I was about to say in Harrisburg, we can't afford that.
Yeah, exactly. The tons of guests, just ridiculous. Giancarlo will be there, and I believe Bo will be there too.
Katie Sackhoff, yeah, she's going to be there.
Katie Sackhoff will be there too.
When is this?
That's June 2nd through the 4th.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So just gearing up for that, getting a whole bunch of stuff restocked and reloaded and ready, working on some new pieces for it. So just that's the next big thing. So
definitely, man. If you haven't already, follow Vinny on Instagram, Vincent Dunn Art. The link to his store is on his page as well, so make sure you do so. What do you got going on? What can we expect from you?
Well, tomorrow I will be streaming Jedi Survivor. I stream every single day live on my channel, gameplay. So if you guys want to see what the gaming is like, you can check it out. And I talk to you guys. So it is fun to be interactive with all of you in the chat. But I'm also going to be streaming with Lorena at 7 o'clock. We're doing a watch party for Galaxy Quest on her channel tomorrow night. I'm also going to be premiering another episode of PGS Treks on the Bird Network at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, Lael, you and I will be on Midnight Musings later that evening. On Sunday, guys, you can find me on my show, Sunday Brunch on Positive Fandom at 10:30 a.m., where we do all the parlay and the fandom. On Monday nights, you can also find me back on the Burn Network for Ladies of the PGS at 6 p.m. Eastern as well. And next week, a very good friend of mine, Heath from Heath's Geekverse, is going to be premiering his Kickstarter for his new book called Good Night Sword. So please do check it out.
Okay, definitely make sure that you definitely check that out. Again, what do we got tomorrow? I have Figure Flex Friday, of course. So definitely check that out. We have Collectors Lounge International on Sunday. Wednesday or Monday, we will be returning. We will see the return to Comic Book Talk with Friends. So it finally makes its return, triumphant return. It's kind of moving some things around because life takes over, but we will be back on Monday, so stay tuned for that. Link will be out there for everybody to catch on and follow. Say What Wednesday, of course, and then I think we'll be back here for Uncivilized, not back here, but on Mario's channel for Uncivilized. I believe we're just playing catch up because we haven't been here in a while, so definitely we're going to do that. But we'll let you know how everything goes down. Anyway, thank you guys for basically being here. It's been a great show. Interesting show, great idea, things to talk about, and because we didn't really get a chance to talk about it before, but definitely we'll be back next week, same time or probably earlier, but we'll definitely let you know. But again, if you you haven't done anything else, may the force be with y'all, and as always, stay uncivilized. Let's go. Peace.
So uncivilized.